Hi, in this video I will show you how to install web server on Raspberry Pi. And also I'll explain how to set up Raspberry Pi as a home automation server. First let us check the hardware requirements. We need a Raspberry Pi board. I'm using latest Raspberry Pi 4 8GB version. Then we need an enclosure. It's better to choose one including fan. We also need a 5V 3A Type-C power supply. Using official power supply will be the best option. And finally, we need an SD card also. I'm using a 32GB SD card. Once you have all these products, you are ready to set up web server on Raspberry Pi. To set up web server, we need to install Apache, PHP, MySQL database, Phpmyadmin and Ftp Server on Raspberry Pi. Apart from that we should have installed PuTTY and FileZilla in our desktop. I'll explain how to install all these using SSH command. First, we need to upload the Raspberry Pi Lite image to our SD card. We need Raspberry Pi Imager software to do this. You can download it from Raspberry Pi website. I have already downloaded it, so I am cancelling the download. Now insert your SD card to your computer. We can first erase the SD card. For that, open the Raspberry Pi Imager software, and select Erase, and SD card correspondingly. Once you erased SD card, you need to upload Raspbian Lite OS image to SD card. You can download this from Raspberry website. I have already downloaded this, so not going to download it again. Before uploading the OS, remove the SD card safely and insert it again. You will notice the SD card is erased now. Open the Imager software again to upload the Raspberry Pi OS to SD card. You can see I have saved the Raspbian OS to my drive already. If you want, you can install the Raspbian Lite OS online by selecting from the Imager. But I prefer to download it separately, so that I can use it later also. You need to select the Use Custom option and browse the downloaded file. Then, select the SD card and hit Right to upload the OS to SD card. The OS is uploaded now. Your SD card will be removed automatically. Close the Imager software and insert the SD card again to your computer. Now open the drive, boot. We need to add 2 files into this drive to enable SSH and Wi-Fi access to your network. Then only we can connect this SD card to Raspberry Pi. To enable SSH, you simply need to create a file named SSH without any extension. To add Wi-Fi credentials, you need to create a file named WPA_SUPPLICANT. Then add Wi-Fi credentials to this file as shown. I will add this to the description. Now remove the SD card from your computer and insert it into Raspberry Pi. Once the Raspberry Pi starts, we need to find the IP address of the Pi. Use any software to find this. I'm using WakeMe on LAN software to find the IP address of Raspberry Pi. You can see the IP address is 192.168.1.5 in my case. Now we need to connect to Raspberry Pi using software, PuTTY, via SSH. Open PuTTY, enter your IP address and hit Open button. If everything is fine, It will establish SSH connection with Raspberry Pi. Log into Raspberry Pi using the default login credentials, which is Pi as username and Raspberry as password. Next, we need to update and upgrade all the existing packages in Raspberry Pi before installing any other software. For that, first run command sudo apt update. You will notice the packages are getting updated. Once it is updated, you should run command sudo apt upgrade to upgrade all packages. There will be a confirmation before upgrading. Please type Y and hit Enter key to upgrade all existing packages. Now we can install the software one by one. First, we need to install Apache Server. For that run command sudo apt install Apache 2. Here also, type Y when you find any confirmation message. Apache is installed now. We can check this by browsing the Raspberry Pi IP address. In my case it was 192.168.1.5. You will notice the Apache default page. This means, you have installed Apache successfully. Next, we can install PHP. For that run command sudo apt install php lib apache 2 -mod -php. Here also, type Y when you find any confirmation message. To check PHP is installed properly, we need to add a file, index.php, in var www html folder. For that, first move to that folder, and then run command sudo nano index.php. Then type a sample PHP code as shown. To save the file, hit Ctrl+X on keyboard and then Enter key. Now, open this file in browser. For that, open browser and type your Raspberry Pi IP address along with index.php as shown. It is 192.168.1.5, index.php in my case. Next, we need to install Mariadb server. For that run command sudo apt install Mariadb server. Again, type Y when you find any confirmation message. Once database is installed, we need to create a user with password. Follow the steps as shown. I will add all these details in description. Once it is done, we need to install Phpmyadmin. For that run command sudo apt install Phpmyadmin. When you see Configure Phpmyadmin window, just hit Enter key without making any changes. After few seconds, you will see similar window again. Select no option in that window also. Now we need to install Phpmysqli. For that, run command sudo phpenmod mysqli. After installing Phpmysqli, we need to restart Apache Server. Run command sudo service apache 2 restart to restart Apache Server. Also move the Phpmyadmin to user share folder with the mentioned command. Now to check Phpmysql is installed properly, Again, open the Raspberry Pi IP address along with Phpmyadmin in browser. In my case, it is 192.168.1.5/phpmyadmin. Use your login credentials and log in to Phpmyadmin. Default database username is root, and password is password. Next, we can install Ftp Server, so that it's very easy to access and modify files. For that, run command sudo apt install pure ftpd. Once the Ftp Server is installed, you can try to connect to Ftp Server using FileZilla software. Here also, type Y when you find any confirmation message. Hope you have already installed FileZilla software. Open the software now, and connect to Raspberry Pi. Use the Raspberry Pi IP address and credentials to connect. In my case, the IP address is 192.168.1.5 and the login credentials is Pi as username and Raspberry as password. Because we are using the default port, which is 21, no need to type anything there. Now I will explain you how we can upload our web page or web application to Raspberry Pi. To do this, we need to have root access. Run command sudo I to get root access. Then we need to create a folder. I am creating a folder named SA. First move to the HTML folder, and run command mkdir sa to create this folder. Once the folder is created, we need to provide writable access to upload data to this folder via FTP. Run command chmod 777, and the complete folder path, which is /var/www/htmlsa, in my case. Once this is done, we need to restart the FTP server. For that, run command sudo server pure ftpd restart, and hit enter key. Our FTP account should have enough access to upload files to this folder now. Go to FileZilla, and reconnect to Raspberry Pi. Once we are connected again to Raspberry Pi, find your folder on both Raspberry Pi and local computer, and upload your web page files to Raspberry Pi. I am going to upload my home automation web application code to Raspberry Pi now. I have published this in GitHub. I will share the details in description. Now we have successfully set up web server on Raspberry Pi. Finally, I will be explaining few things about how to set up my home automation web application on Raspberry Pi. First, we need to execute the SQL to create the database for this web application. You can get this from my GitHub repository. Refresh Phpmyadmin to see the new database is added successfully. Once the database is added, we can check the web application. Go to 192.168.1.5/sa in your browser. Now we need to set the username and password for the database. You need to download the config PHP file to desktop, make the changes, and upload it back. The home automation web application is ready now. You can see I can add devices. It is working perfect. I will show you how this works in Android. I have Knox Player installed, which is an Android emulator for Windows. Open Google Chrome in Android, and go to 192.168.1.5/SA. This web application needs Mosquito MQTT broker. It is very easy to install this. Run command sudo apt install mosquito. Again, type Y when you find any confirmation message. Once Mosquito is installed on Raspberry Pi, open Mosquito Client Application box. You can download it for free. I have already downloaded and installed this application. Now from the application, create a new MQTT client, and enter the details. The protocol should be MQTT/TCP and enter your Raspberry Pi IP address. You need to enter the details in Web Application Settings page. Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment your question. I will try my best to help you. Bye.